Hello there, racing fans. Welcome back to the channel, proudly sponsored by betting.co.uk. So, I'm back with a very special episode because, as you can see, I am joined by none other than the man in the saddle, Mikey O'Sullivan. Mikey, how are you doing? And welcome to the show.
All good, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Good stuff, Mikey. So, thanks for giving us some of your time. I know it's obviously a really busy period of the season. Things are really starting to gear up, but you must be getting excited now, obviously, with a few good rides to go to Cheltenham with, of course, including Marine Nationale. How are you feeling in the lead up to Cheltenham? Getting excited?
Yeah, exactly. Starting to get excited now. Obviously, only a couple of weeks away. Hopefully, we get there in one piece. And look, it's I suppose all year it leads up to Cheltenham, and when we're this close now, it's starting to get anxious moments. But hopefully, a couple of bits of work to do and a few more races to get out of the way. But very much looking forward to it.
Excellent. And with it being and with us starting to get so close to Cheltenham now, is the work done for the majority of the runners, or is there still a few final pieces to do before you head over to England? Or where are
There's
you at
still
the moment?
still a final couple of pieces to do. Like most horses, still do one or two pieces this week and the same next week. Early next week, maybe they do their last bit on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Obviously depending on which day they're running, but a lot of the horses for Tuesday and Wednesday will probably do their last bits next Tuesday or that, and they'll be getting the boat at the weekend. So, couple of bits still to do.
And with again with this sort of being so close now, are you noticing big differences in some of the runners? They're starting to seem a little better, starting to really feel like their engines are getting revved up for the big day. Is everything going well for the majority of the team at the moment as well?
Yeah, obviously, I'd be in Willies and Barry's, and they're still, haven't tweaked them yet. They're hopefully their next couple of bits will just set them alight, and you leave a bit for the boat then, and you be hopefully to peak then and Cheltenham.
So, of course, Mikey, the main hope that you've got for Cheltenham this year is, of course, a horse very close to my heart, very close to your heart, to Barry's as well. And he was a very impressive winner of the Supreme Novice Hurdle last year. And in fact, he was very impressive to win the Royal Bond as well, considering there were a few, obviously, mishaps along the way. How is he at the moment for starters in himself? And have you noticed any considerable difference in him to this time last year when obviously all systems would go for Cheltenham? How is Marine and how is he feeling on the build up? And how does he feel, obviously, in the saddle?
Yeah, he's all good. He's happy and healthy at home anyway. I sat him the other day in Fairy House and just had a jump over a couple of fences and hacked around, and I was happy enough with him. Like obviously he's been a very very good horse to me, and I'm privileged to be involved with him. And he was very good last year in everything he did. Obviously the Royal Bond was very good. My first greater one to ride in, and obviously that was an amazing day, and he put up a savage performance to win on the day. It was very exciting. And then Cheltenham, of course, was extra special. We all know how that went. It was an amazing performance by the horse. It went so smoothly. He didn't put a foot wrong all year, and it was a massive day. I suppose in comparison to last year, we didn't see him from the start of December. He got a break after the Royal Bond, and we were just starting to gear him up for Cheltenham. His last couple of bits, and it was just a matter of getting him there 100%. Whereas this year, obviously, he's coming into it from a run at Christmas and a run at the DRF, and he's just obviously that bit fitter. So it's more a matter of keeping him taking over, rather than getting him to full fitness. So it's just keep him taking over now. We get a couple of bits into him, and hopefully, if we get him there in the same form he was last year, um, he'll take all the beating, please God.
Before we have a look at a couple of the chase runs, obviously this year, does he feel any different to you, Mikey, or does he feel just as fast, just as comfortable to you when he's jumping fences? Because of course, on his debut at Leopardstown, he was arrow straight. He pinged every single fence. I know he got in close to one or two, but he was smart and got over. And evidently, just did the job really easy. Looked like all systems were still go for Cheltenham. Does he still feel the same after his DRF run to you as he did prior to that day as well? Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy and opinions on Twitter and social media as there are. But to you, as the man in the saddle, does he feel as good as ever to you at the moment?
Yeah, he's as good as ever physically and mentally. He's all there. There's been no changes that way. Obviously, he was very disappointing at DRF, but you know the horses he's ran 7 times and he's won six. Unfortunately, they all got beat at some stage, but um, he just wasn't happy on the day, and I wasn't happy with him really. So, but he's come out of the race fine, and he's shown all the right signs, and there's been no issues with him. So, look, it's probably this year he's taking a bit longer to get fitter, but that happens with horses as they get older. They just get. Last year he was very easy to train. He could get him fit in 6 weeks, we'll say, whereas this year it just took that bit longer. But I'm hoping that we get a bit of sun on our backs now for the next couple of weeks, and then we get drier ground in Cheltenham, and that'll be a big help. But doesn't look too likely at the minute. But hopefully 3 or 4 dry days over there will make a massive difference.
Well, I'll keep you posted, Mikey, because I am here in Cheltenham as well. It's not too bad at the moment, so we can hope for a few more dry spells in between now and then. But just with regards to him going forward, of course, last year in the Supreme, he made it quite clear and proved that he's got the fastest turn of foot out of any of the novices, even against the likes of Ilite Tom, who, of course, won the Irish Arkle. But this year, going to Cheltenham, if he turns up in the same form, obviously turning for home, he's surely got the quickest turn of foot out of anything in the field. Is that something you'd agree on at this point in time as well?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, as horses get older, sometimes they do lose that bit of turn of foot, and they turn into more stairs. But he still shows all the gears he had. I think looking at the Arkle race at the minute, he looks the best horse in the race by a long way. If we get him there to 90% of how good he can be, he just hopefully we'll get him there like in that form and as good as he can be. I think he has all the class in the race, and he's very good to jump and everything. It's just hopefully getting him there like that. And as I said, ground, I'd be hoping we get nicer ground as well. But look, we'll be the first horses on it in that Arkle with fresh ground, so that's a massive factor as well.
So a lot of people have been saying basically comments like that it's not the ground that's the issue. I've been fighting his cause since day one, even from the back of the days when he won his Kalani bumper. Is it possible that when he got to the DRF, because he's been winning on soft ground, but perhaps his class has just been getting it done for him whilst he's been in a good mood? Is it possible that because he didn't jump quite as well as we saw him on his beginner's debut when he got to the DRF, is it just a case of possibly it was unknown territory to him, hitting a couple of fences and having to sort of work himself into it, or were you a little bit unhappy with him through the beginning stages? Was that his jumping, or was it necessarily the way he moved? And is that and if it is the case that it's his jumping in unknown territory, is it fair to just put a line through his last run? Would you say?
Yeah, I'd be hoping so. Just going back to the ground, like obviously, he's showing form in the Royal Bond on heavy ground and stuff, but I think sometimes fences can exaggerate that dependency on ground a bit more. And obviously, look, it was just his second run over fences in a Grade One around Leopardstown against horses that had that bit more experience than him, and so I've no doubt that will stand him. And I think the ground at the DRF, look, um, people can make a lot about the goings, but the going was soft at Christmas, but it was fresh ground. It was ground that hadn't been used um, all over. Whereas at the DRF, obviously, had 4 days of racing on that ground over Christmas. It was used ground, and it was that bit deader and gluey, we'll say. So I'd forgive him that, and he's just I think over fences, it just exaggerates that ground dependency a small bit more. Um, but I think a bit nicer ground, as he his jumping would be like what it was at Christmas. He's very athletic and very intelligent horse. So look, fingers crossed. He shows how good he is in Cheltenham.
Perfect. And just going back to some of the controversy after his DRF run, there was a lot of talk. A lot of people are worried because he's had a wind issue or a wind operation, shall I say, and he is now still wearing a tongue tie. A lot of people are putting two and two together and perhaps making five here. Mikey, would you see the same thing? Because, of course, Barry said that he'd done a few clinical tests on him after. Everything seems okay with his wind. And that's something I assume that you would notice if there was an issue with him whilst you're riding him. Would that be fair to say? And is the tongue tie a is it an issue for him, or is it simply an aid to ensure that he's keeping his head in the right place? Because again, I'm just ranting away here again. People have discussed he's got quite a high head carriage, but he's been like that since day one, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I seen that too. A lot of people making a lot about the head carriage, which is fair enough. Like that's why racing is such a good game. Everyone has their own opinion. But if you go back and look at him when he's bumper and punches down on his first run at Killarney, he's always had that head carriage. He's always carried his head that way. I suppose people only start to talk about it then. This year, the first time he gets beaten out of 7 runs. But look, that's understandable. Barry felt that if he performed a win operation on him, it might improve him a bit. And look, he's entitled to do that. He's the owner trainer, and that's his decision. I don't think it's disimproved him in any way. Um, to me, it all sounds good. In terms of the tongue tie, look, a lot of horses wear tongue ties. It's definitely no harm to them. Whether it helps them, I think some horses more than others. But look, Marine. It didn't affect him in his run at Christmas in any way. The time of the race was very good, and he carried his head fine and he jumped very well and did everything right. The last time he gets beaten and people start questioning it, which is fair enough. But look, he wears it in work at home, and he doesn't seem to mind it. So it's definitely no harm to him, in my opinion anyway.
And since he's come out again of the DRF and you're building up to Cheltenham now, his jumping and everything just seems as good as ever as well. Because, like we said, he was foot perfect on his beginner's debut. I found that very, very impressive first time out in particular. And I know when he was with Colin before, he said obviously he was initially trained to sort of jump some point to point fences, but he does genuinely seem like he took to them like a natural on the first day. Has everything been good in that sense as well on the lead up to Cheltenham? He's jumping well and feeling fruitful within himself.
Yeah, like he was always a very naturally gifted jumper, a very intelligent horse, very athletic. It was never a worry. And obviously, you seen that at Christmas, and even the last day when he underperformed. He didn't jump with as much fluency or as quickly as he did at Christmas, but he still didn't really do anything a whole lot wrong. He lost a bit of momentum and ground in the air at the fourth last, but up until then, he was as efficient as any other horse beside him. Obviously, he made a mistake at the last, but that was just I was minding him when we were in between and just took his eye off it. So, he'd be conscious of that. I've given him a school since, and he probably had that little mistake in his mind over the first fence or two, but just being that bit careful. But after that, he was 100% and as good as ever. So, I think ground obviously is a big factor. Hopefully, um, we get some sun in Cheltenham and it dries out because if he has ground that really suits him, he will be electric over fences, and that's what I'm hoping. And
That's the thing, is that he's got a turn of foot that we haven't seen in any of the other two milers. So jumping the last, like you said, surely if it turns into a sprint, there's only going to be one winner. Mikey, who's the danger for you in the Arkle on if we say we're turning up on good to soft or even softer on a softer surface? Have you got your eye on a main danger? Is it Ilite Tomp, or are you not concerned because you beat him in the Supreme? And then does that bring Founder 50 potentially in the race? Or are you solely focused on the sense that you've got the best horse in the race? If you can get him there one piece, he's going to get the job done.
yeah, I think that's the thing, Joe. If we get Marine there as good as he is, and if he shows up on the day as good as he can be, I wouldn't be worried about any horse in the race. He's beaten them all before, all the horses from the Supreme. Um, Look, he underperformed the last day, so and he let it hump and found a 50. I'm not sure if Facile Vega does, but you know, found a 50 probably doesn't get some of the credit he deserves. He's a grade one winner and just touched off in the grade one the last day. He's a very good horse. Same kind of scenario with Elite Tomp. He's very admirable. But as I said, I don't think if Marine, if we get him there 100% and he shows up like he has done it all along, forgiving him of the last day, he's definitely the best horse in the race. I suppose maybe in the pocket is maybe a forgotten horse. Um, I want to point to Python him. He's a very good horse. Whether he's going to get to Cheltenham or not, it's still to be seen. But if he showed up, he's a proper grade one horse that was seen in Aintree. He's one that could be a sneaky one. But um, all in all, if we get Marine there on the day as good as he was last year, I wouldn't be worried about anything else.
How early are you going to bring him over to Cheltenham? Like, are you just coming over on the Sunday, or will you come a few days before, or are you not too sure? Is that all down to the boss at the moment?
I think he'll arrive. What happened last year was obviously still run on the Tuesday, so I imagine he'll arrive on the Saturday morning or afternoon, whatever time the boat gets in. and he'd probably just have a walk around on the Saturday, and he'd be ridden out on Sunday and Monday.
Great stuff. Brilliant to hear that all systems go there with Marine. I cannot wait to see him go, Mikey. Honestly, I've been desperate to see him back on track. It was great to see him over at the DRF, even though things didn't go to plan. But great to see again that all systems go for the Arkle. Just a real brief one as well. I know you've got Ennis Skerry due to go in the Grand Annual. How is he been at the moment? And is he still an intended runner for the race, Mikey?
Yeah, that's the plan. All being well, he's good. We're happy with him. He has a couple of serious bits of work to do. Obviously, he's coming off the back of a break. But he got a mark yesterday of 148, which I thought was good.
Do you think that'll help him coming in fresh, Ennis Skerry?
Yeah, definitely. He runs very well fresh. Obviously, he ran the Galway Plate the last time. Um, we were always worried that he wouldn't stay in that, and he didn't. But he was bang there jumping the last at the bottom of the hill, and he just didn't get home up the hill. He's a proper 2 mile horse. I don't think we've seen the best of him. I don't think he's ever fulfilled his potential really. Um, I think he's a proper graded horse, and hopefully he'll be a graded horse in the handicap. The Grand Annual looks like it should suit him. Um, Same scenario again. Look, he'll handle a bit softer ground, but I think the better the ground, the better you'll see him. He was very good in Leopardstown on the flat on good ground. So um, I think if we got proper nice ground over there, he'd take a lot of beating.
Yeah, I think he'd really enjoy Cheltenham as well, like you said, because he handled Leopardstown. I could really see him sort of doing something quite nice at Cheltenham. And then just one more, if you don't mind, Mikey. I know Finn rode this fella the other day, but you've got a fantastic, lovely looking bumper horse in the name of William Money. He's a Westerner, but God, off that slow pace, he showed a rapid turn of foot. Have you sat on him at home as well?
Yeah, I rode him. He's got a couple of last bits of work before he ran in Navan the first time, and he just kept improving. And he's a Westerner. He just took a lot of time. And he needed every bit of time he got, but I think he's showing the dividends of that now. Um, I'd ridden him in the school in Gallop and Naas a couple of weeks before he went to Navan, and he went very well. And he kind of kept surprising us from then on. He was very good in Navan against a nice horse that really saved a chance. Um, and he was very good in him that day. He gave him a great ride. He was still a bit green, and he gave him all the chances, and got a nice gap and quickened up really well, and then showed he was tough at the back end to stick his head out in front. Um, I think he was very very impressive in the race on Sunday. As you said, he went through the race so easily, and Vinny looked very confident on him coming to the last furlong, and you were just going to wonder, oh, what's he holding on to? And then he gave him a kick, and he really took off and showed a savage turn of foot. Um, which was a surprise to us all because until you go and find out on the racetrack, you're not sure what's there. But he was very impressive. He's come out of the race fine, so yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting a leg across him over hurdles, please God, next season.
Is he going to be going to Punchestown next? I believe is that right? He's going to skip Cheltenham, go Punchestown, perhaps, and then maybe turn into some sort of supreme horse next year. Is that
Yeah,
the long-term plan?
that sounds like the plan. That's what Barry said after the race. He wants to go to Punchestown with him, and he's entitled to do so. It's a Grade One race. And it'd be great for Finney to get a Grade One winner as well. He's a top rider, and he deserves all the chances he gets. So, um, yeah, I'd be looking forward to getting him over hurdles. Big God.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for that, Mikey. I do really appreciate it. Last thing, good land. How is he at home, Mikey? Is he happy in himself? I know we haven't seen him this year, but I still feel it's always nice to have an update. Is he feeling well in himself? And you looking forward to getting back on him for next season too?
Yeah, he was a massive loss this year. I thought he was going to be a monster. We were just gearing up to get him ready for the Drenmore, and I done a lot of schooling on him, and he was giving me all the right feelings. Now I was really looking forward to him, so it was a big disappointment. Um, he's doing fine. He's still on box rest. He got a leg injury, so looking forward to getting him back for next season, please God. He'll be a savage chaser if we get him back to his potential as well. So yeah, no, he's all good. He's happy out. He looks well and everything. So just a matter of giving him a bit of time and then getting him back under saddle.
Brilliant stuff, Mikey. Brilliant. Well, it's all exciting times ahead. Again, I won't take up any more of your time. We've got 12 days to go, Mikey. But outside of the string in Barry's Yard, I mean, you've got very exciting horses to ride. Who would you like to ride at the festival if you were given the opportunity? But you can't say Constitution Hill or Galopin des Champs.
Um, Lossy definitely Lossy Yeah,
Do you think she
think,
takes all the beating?
I think she won't come off the bridle. I started her a couple of times in bits of work, and yeah, she's an absolute weapon now. So yeah, I'd like to ride her.
Dynamite, isn't she? I suppose it's just a case of stepping up in trip, but that shouldn't be a problem, should it? The way she travelled on
No,
the last day.
be worried at all about that. Obviously she won the Triumph last year, but she settled very well in her comeback run in Cheltenham the last day. Settled very well, did everything right. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried that she's a class apart now from the rest of them.
Brilliant stuff, Mikey. Mikey, again, thanks so much for your time. Big best of luck for the festival. I will certainly be rooting for you and the team and Marine and Co. all the way through. And yeah, best of all of luck and hope it goes swimmingly. Thanks for coming on the channel.
No problem. Thanks very much, Stuart. Thanks for
Thanks,
having me on.
Mikey. Thank you.